Napoleon Bonaparte slept for only 3 hours a night, and somehow he conquered most of Europe. Though let's be honest, he probably could have taken Russia if he just took a nap. So what would happen if you tried the same thing? Would you unlock some hidden skill tree of human efficiency? Would you suddenly start answering emails at 4 AM like a psychopath? Would your body actually adapt to the grind? Or would 3 hours a night slowly turn your frontal lobe into a strawberry McFlurry from McDonald's? Today, we're running the ultimate biological stress test to find out just how little sleep a human brain can actually survive on before they start seeing ghosts. Let's say you normally sleep 8 hours. Tonight, say you played World of Warcraft a bit too much. You know how it goes. You tell yourself, I'll just play for an hour. And suddenly, it's 4:17 AM. You joined the guild, you're arguing with a 14-year-old named DeathXX420, and you've somehow spent 47 minutes organizing your backpack. Your alarm goes off, and for the first 5 seconds, you genuinely don't understand why someone would do this to you. You wake up and you feel like absolute garbage. Your eyes hurt, your brain feels like it's still loading. You probably want to go straight back to sleep, but you get up anyway. You shower, you drink some coffee, you walk around your house pretending you're a functional member of society. And eventually, you start feeling okay. You go to work, you talk to people, you get some things done. Maybe you even have a pretty normal day. And then you think, wait, this isn't that bad. I can do this. I got up at 7, I survived, I answered emails, I even went outside. Why am I wasting 8 hours sleeping like an idiot? 3 hours is plenty. I'm locked in, I'm different, I'm built different. Tomorrow, we're doing it again. Let's go. And that is where you screwed up. One of the most interesting sleep studies gave healthy adults either 8 hours, 6 hours, or just 4 hours of sleep every night for 14 days. The people that were getting only 4 hours, oh boy. Their attention span got worse, their working memory declined, their ability to perform cognitive tasks got worse. But hey, at least Napoleon would be proud. By the end of the experiment, their performance was comparable to people who had been kept awake for roughly 2 nights straight. But here's the scary part. The researchers also asked the participants how sleepy they felt. And they weren't reporting anything close to the full extent of their decline. Their brains were getting worse, but they weren't really noticing it. Think about how weird that is. If you get hit by a truck, you know you've been hit by a truck. If you get extremely sleep deprived, your brain might just go, I'm a little tired. That's it. And this is one of the biggest problems with sleep deprivation. You can't always trust how you feel. Okay, but maybe that's just because the participants were not used to it yet. Maybe the first few days suck, but after a while your body adapts. This is probably the biggest argument for the Napoleon lifestyle. And maybe you're thinking, okay, but Napoleon did it. Yes, Napoleon also invaded Russia, so maybe we shouldn't use him as our lifestyle coach. So, does your body adapt? Unfortunately, not really. In that same study, the people sleeping 4 or 6 hours didn't just get worse at the start and then start to stabilize. Their performance kept getting worse. So you can get used to feeling tired, but that doesn't necessarily mean you've got used to being sleep deprived. That's a really important difference, because someone can say, I've slept 5 hours a night for months and I'm completely fine. And they believe it. Everything feels normal. But they don't get to compare themselves to a version of themselves that has been sleeping properly. So they might not even know what a normal actually feels like anymore. Let's say you wake up at 7 AM. You go through your entire day. You stay awake until midnight. That's about 17 hours awake. I'm sure many of you do this very often. So you didn't pull an all-nighter, you didn't do anything crazy, you just had a normal long day. But studies have found that after roughly 17 hours of being awake, performance on some tasks can become similar to what researchers see at around a 0.05% blood alcohol concentration. And after about 24 hours awake, some performance measures can look more like around 0.10%. You can't drive a car legally if you had that much alcohol in your blood, but no one is gonna stop you and say, "Sir, you have been awake for 24 hours and you're driving a car. Get down on the ground, hands behind your back." You see how crazy that is? You will never get arrested for that, but maybe you should? You are equally impaired, you're a danger to others in that state, but no one realizes it. You don't even realize it. And suddenly, Napoleon's schedule starts looking a little less like, "Wow, what a productive guy," and a little more like, "How was this man making military decisions at 4 a.m.?" What if you actually do feel completely fine on 4 or 5 hours of sleep? There are people who naturally sleep much less than everyone else. Researchers have even found rare genetic mutations that seem to be connected to this ability. Genes that have been linked to natural short sleep, DC2, ADRB1, MPSR1, and GRM1. If you have no idea what those mean, don't worry, neither do I. But let's be real for a second. These people are anomalies. They are essentially the human equivalent of a ghost in Phasmophobia. You hear rumors about them. Someone in your Discord server swears they know one. But when you accidentally encounter one of these natural short sleepers in the wild, it is terrifying. They'll stare dead into the camera during a 9 a.m. morning meeting, looking like a grade A supernatural entity that just spawned in the hallway. Dark, hollow circles under their eyes, completely unblinking, and they will hit you with, "I've slept 5 hours a night for months and I'm completely fine." "Yeah, and I've been drinking energy drinks for breakfast for 3 years and I'm completely fine. My heart occasionally does a Windows shutdown sound, but otherwise I'm doing great." 5 hours a night and you say you're fine. Sure you are, buddy. You don't look fine. You look like you're about to trigger a hunt because the team's average sanity just dropped below 50%. So maybe your friend really can sleep for 5 hours and feel completely fine. Maybe they actually are built differently. It's a very, very small chance, but it's possible.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
But you need to understand there's a massive difference between my body naturally needs 4 hours and I only allow myself 4 hours. Those are not the same thing. Can you survive Napoleon's sleep schedule? Probably. You're not going to sleep for 3 hours and then immediately explode. If you sleep 3 hours tonight, in the morning you'll probably go to work, you'll probably have conversations, you might even convince yourself you're doing okay. And that's exactly what makes sleep deprivation so sneaky. Your body doesn't necessarily stop working, it just starts working worse. And if you keep doing it night after night, your performance can continue to fall, while your ability to notice just how bad you're doing doesn't necessarily keep up. However, maybe Napoleon really could function on very little sleep. But the thing they leave out of the history books is that this guy was also taking naps. A lot of them. I mean, he could fall asleep on his horse, how tired he was. He could take a 15-minute nap during artillery fire. And we don't know how many naps he took during the day. For all we know, this guy was napping on and off for half the day. So if you're thinking about copying his schedule, you're going to need to cheat. And if you don't have time for naps, maybe don't copy Napoleon. Because the goal isn't to find out how little sleep you can survive on. The goal is to get enough sleep so that the hours you're awake are actually worth something. And honestly, that's probably the biggest lesson here. We always try to squeeze more hours out of the day. Sleep less, work more, study longer, get more done. And sometimes that makes sense. But sleep isn't really time you're wasting. It's time your brain is using to make sure tomorrow you are not completely useless. So if you're lying in bed tonight thinking, I could get another 2 hours of work done if I just sleep less, maybe you can. But there's a decent chance you'll spend part of tomorrow paying for those 2 hours. Napoleon may have conquered Europe on a strange, fragmented sleep schedule, but unless you happen to have Napoleon's genetics, lifestyle, and his ability to randomly take a nap in the middle of the day, I'd probably just get 7+ hours. Your brain will thank you. And unlike Napoleon, you don't actually have to conquer Europe tomorrow. You just have to answer some emails and pretend to work until 5 p.m.